All right, welcome to Mayfield. No, we don't live in Mayfield here, but it would sure be a nice thing if we all did. Welcome to the Leave It to Beaver podcast. That's right, we're living in 2023 right now, and we are doing the Leave It to Beaver podcast, one of the greatest shows in television history, in my opinion. My name is John Wangland. I'm the Beaver. This is Ward right over here. Stan Wangland, my dad.
How you doing, everybody?
We are going to be the host of this show, the Leave It to Beaver podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing on this show. We are going to go all the way back to season 1, and we're going to watch these episodes right in chronological order. We're going to discuss the Beaver. We're going to discuss Ward. We're going to discuss Wally, June, Eddie Haskell, the whole bunch. Let me go kick it to you, though, Dad. Why do you love Leave It to Beaver so much?
Well, number one, I have to say I'm really happy to be doing this show with you. And I cannot believe that we're actually doing the show because this is my favorite show of all time on TV. It was when I was a kid. I'm 72 years old. And I was a young boy when Leave It to Beaver first started in 1957. And I saw every episode. And boy, did I want to have a life like Leave It to Beaver. So why do I want to, why are we doing this show? Because to this day, like I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver, man, is on Peacock TV and streaming videos all over the place. It strikes a chord in people. It strikes a chord. It's something people aspire to. And man, having been there and seeing it, people think that the Beaver is outdated, but it's not.
Nope.
All you do is dust off some of the things and look at and give a little bit of modern language to it, and you're seeing the best of us. And Leave It to Beaver. And boy, if there's ever a point in time in 2023 where it's wonderful to not go back to the good old days, but go back to or revisit really right thinking and really funny, nice, interesting behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question?
No, 100% answered my question.
Man.
I mean, I was not born in the 1950s. I wasn't born until 1982, but I got introduced to the Beaver as a kid. I used to watch it on WTBS every morning.
Sure.
I remember as a kid and watched it all throughout the years that I would see it growing up, early in the morning or whenever they had it on TBS. It was usually, I remember it was on at 5 o'clock in the morning back in the day. Yeah. And I would have my paper route. I'd get up and I'd catch Leave It to Beaver when I got home. And it was always one of my favorite things to do before school every day. Lost track, didn't watch it through the years. Me and you started talking about it a few months ago. We were just making some jokes and laughing about a few things on it. And I went back and started watching some of the old episodes. And it was like, yeah, just couldn't. It's still one of my go-tos. Like now, when I want to switch it up, when I want to get in the right mindset and see something positive, we go check out Leave It to Beaver because it's just that type of show. It still holds up to me as one of the greatest shows ever, going back and watching it. So when we had this idea to do a show, we figured we'd go back in chronological order and start right from the beginning of Leave It to Beaver. So each episode, what we'll do is we'll be doing a watch along. We're going to be watching it live and have our reactions towards it as we go along. You might hear a little bit of audio from it in the background as we're watching it. Sometimes you might not. We can't put the video up here due to copyright reasons or anything like that. But if you do hear a little bit of audio, just know that we're watching that episode along live. And if you want to watch along with us and go back and check it out, you're more than welcome to too. Go over to the Peacock app amongst a
whole bunch of others.
You can find it pretty much anywhere. I think it's
Roku, Prime, everywhere.
It's there. It's there. Peacock makes it easy. You go, if you have the Peacock app, they have all 6 seasons over there. Now, when did the Leave It to Beaver kick off? You said 1957?
It started in 1957, and there's still a lot about this series. And it's not to drive people crazy, but we're going to go over all 269 episodes. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about, to unpack here with Leave It to Beaver, believe it or not. But it originally started from a teleplay on in the golden age of television in 1956, I think it was, with young Jerry Mathers.
Wow.
And his brother Wally, who wasn't played by Tony Dow. And the name of the teleplay it was on one of these things like a weekly one of these weekly theaters that they would have, and it was a comedy, and it was called It's a Small World. Was the name of the show. It got such a popular reaction that CBS said, hey man, let's make this into a series. And the two guys who wrote the plays, I think one guy's name was Joe Donnelly, and whatever the other guy's name is, you can see for yourself. They wrote all the teleplays on this. They got picked up by CBS and did a season. And for whatever reason, CBS didn't want to carry them, not because they had low ratings. They didn't want to carry them.
Did it go to ABC after?
It went to ABC.
Okay.
You're exactly right. And it stayed to ABC until 1963. Now, I can remember when it went off the air, and I was so disappointed. And I thought it went off due to low ratings. It didn't. The ratings were higher than ever. Jerry Mathers was going to high school, and he wanted to have more normalized life. And we can talk a lot about that. And he said he didn't want to do the show anymore.
Wow.
That he wanted to do other things. And very interesting stuff with the cast of characters and how things worked out with Eddie Haskell and Jerry Mathers and Tony Dow, who became a famous artist, Hugh Beaumont, all those people in there. When you watch the show, also, I'm a retired psychologist. And one of the things that people don't realize, Leave It to Beaver had so many modern psychological principles that were involved in the show and religious kinds of things, moral kinds of lessons.
Absolutely.
Things in there that they were trying to accomplish in a changing world. They were in this transition from the period from the golden age of the 50s, probably the golden age of America, into the transition into the 60s. It's amazing, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in different shows.
Oh, there's so much to talk about. There's a lot of different pieces to the Beaver throughout the years.
A lot of moving parts, man.
Definitely a ton. So what we're going to do is we aim to the show before we get started here is we're going to offer it in video on Facebook, maybe on YouTube later on. And then I'm also going to put it up on audio. So it'll eventually have its own podcast link for it as well on audio. So if you're going to be looking for it over the coming weeks as we release these, check them out. The Leave It to Beaver podcast. It'll be listed up. It'll be under all major podcast streaming things that you can find. And then you'll just find it on Facebook here. So on Facebook, make sure you like and follow the page. That way you can check out all the content that we're going to put up. And who knows, maybe we'll sprinkle some surprises in throughout.
And add some comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your comments, your insights.
As we grow this, that's what it is. Throw it out there because this is a fun show for people that want to go back and watch some Leave It to Beaver with us and live in a good time, you know, where we're going to look at some positivity. And
it's all positivity.
It's all positivity here. So throw those comments out. You got it linked up and ready to go on the Peacock app, though, for us. So why don't you hit it for us and let's get started on episode 1. Beaver Gets Spelled, where Beaver's teacher gives them a note to take home.
And can I just say one thing?
Having
been in school, I'm almost like his identical age. That was a big deal, man, when you got a note from the teacher to take home.
That's when you knew you were going to get your butt busted, maybe, when you got home.
Man. So here we go.
All right, hit it. Let's get rolling here on the debut episode of Leave It to Beaver. Beaver Gets Spelled, season 1, episode 1. We're watching it on Peacock.
Too loud or good?
I think we're good. I love how they wrote the for the little thing here, how they wrote it in the cement.
Yes. That was a big deal as a kid when they would do the cement in the streets and everything. You'd want to do that. Put your name and initials in it.
Who was your favorite character on the Beaver?
Ward Cleaver.
Look at the soda guy.
Yep.
An ice cream cone was a snow-capped mountain of sheer delight.
So season 1 really kicks off where they have Ward narrating, I think, pretty much every episode in season 1. Am I correct on that?
No, he starts off these first things.
Okay.
But he gets into it sometimes. This first one they had to.
Ward is such a great character, too.
Oh, here we go. We got a commercial.
We got a little 45-second long commercial here, folks. We'll get the unedited version of Peacock here in a second, but we got a little commercial break here.
It gives us a chance to add. If you look at the teachers in those days too, mostly all the school teachers were single.
Yeah.
And if they were young, they were single. And the little boys in particular always fell in love with their teachers if they were young. And you could see she has a thing of flowers. I was in love with my second grade teacher, Mrs. Taub.
What was her name?
Mrs. Taub. And I also was in love with my kindergarten teacher, Miss Gora.
Miss Gora.
I can remember those.
Okay.
And it was the same thing. You'd be so shy, and Beaver is the same way.
All right.
And, you know, that's what we're seeing here.
All right. Miss Canfield, I was right on that.
Yes.
We were talking about it beforehand. Mrs. Rayburn is your principal. She was always kind of mean, Mrs. Rayburn, but in her own way.
Yep. Yep. And here's something that you don't do much anymore. The little girl here is reading in front of the class to the teacher, and the teacher's following along, and everybody in there. Now you would have somebody who would say, I'm triggered. I can't do this, or, don't have anybody do this.
Hey, you want to click that down a couple notches
Sure.
if you don't mind there? Thanks, Whitey. Whitey's popping up here. Whitey's in the whole series, if I remember, pretty much.
He's pretty much, he goes off for a year
Okay.
or two, and then he comes back in. And Beaver's real name is Theodore.
Theodore Cleaver. That was Beaver's mortal enemy there, that girl reading there, Judy.
I think that was Lumpy's sister.
That's Victoria Rutherford or something. Vicky, what was Lumpy's sister's name?
You're right. I mean,
that's Judy though.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been watching some of the older episodes there. That's the girl that Beaver can't stand. None of the kids. She's the one that always tattles all the time to the teacher.
Right.
Beaver, is that your given name? Yes, ma'am. My brother gave it to me. In the classroom, I'd better call you Theodore. Yes, Miss Canfield. Theodore, I have a note here to your mother and father.
What a handsome kid he was too.
He was very handsome. If you notice, his hair is different in the beginning.
Yeah, he's got it parted up, right?
Yes.
Look at me stuffing the note down his
Yes.
shirt. You gotta love it.
If you look at this, when you're looking at this too, if you're looking at the classroom, there's the roses that somebody brought to their teacher.
Mhm.
If you wanted to get extra points and feel important, you would want to be the eraser person. I can remember in grade school, it's you, the teacher, if she liked you, say, Stanley, you can go out and clap the erasers outside. And little girls had pigtails, and you see this.
Yep.
But you see,
Pigtails in the
yeah,
braids, right?
Yeah, these are real stereotypes from the 50s. These were holdovers from the 40s and 50s. These were the expectations of how kids should look, idealized.
Well, you hear it a lot on the themes of the show when, you know, June doesn't want to be embarrassed. I'll never be able to show my face. We'll have to move in the neighborhood again, or if this happens or something like that.
Yes.
You'll hear that a lot. You know, the social status of people seemed like it was very important to them here.
Yes. And the nicknames for people were really, it was something you can't do nowadays. Like later on, you'll see Lumpy. It's because he's big and he's heavy.
Yep.
Whitey, I was called Whitey because I had blonde hair as a kid. Can you imagine being called Whitey now?
No, that wouldn't work out too well for us if we did that one. You never saw a father with a beard or a mustache like us, really. You know, like I got a beard, you have a mustache. You never saw that. June always looked meticulous too, as she does right here.
Yes, and she always had a string of pearls on.
Always.
Ward almost always at the dinner table was dressed with a shirt and his tie. If you look at the amount of food that they're eating, by the way,
low portions,
small portions, normal size plates, with things like that.
How good of a cook do you think June was?
I think June was a combination of a cook from the old days, like pre-World War II. And when we get into future episodes, you'll see that she tells Ward in one of the things. He says, "What's on for dinner?"
The frozen dinners.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's it's something that's frozen. That's all newfangled.
It was
stuff.
Frozen Chinese food because I just watched. I heard the frozen pot roast one too.
This is how brothers back in the day. Now this is an affluent family, a suburban family, but see, they share a room.
Yep.
They're not.
They got the bunk beds in this.
Bunk beds now. Later on shows they have separate beds.
You don't see the toilet though.
No, as a matter of fact, Leave It to Beaver almost went off the air in season 3 because they showed a toilet and the episode was banned.
Because they showed a toilet.
Because they showed a toilet.
Wow.
And if you'll notice, they always eat dessert and it's one portion.
Yep. And then right before you go to bed, you got to go take your bath.
You have to take a bath.
You got to take a bath.
Right.
Right before you go to bed.
Right.
Oh, he's still got the note here. He didn't want to give the note to mom and dad. He's refusing to give this one up.
Look how kids go to bed too.
In their pajamas, matching pajamas too. You know, they got the actual, set that matches, for their stuff. It's not like sweatpants or crazy variations of anything. Did you have that as a kid?
What?
Like where you'd have like the nice pajamas like that?
Yeah, I had nice pajamas, but certainly not a nice house like this. And you asked me why I like this show. I like Ward the best. Now, the very depressing thing about this show, if you grew up like a kid like me, I grew up in a lower blue class neighborhood in a very small apartment. We weren't certainly affluent. My parents were very lovely, but I would come home and my father would be sitting in his t-shirt and he might say, "Hey, pass that over here," or something like that.
That was Grandpa.
Yeah, that was Grandpa. Yep. Or somebody would pass gas or something, or you go to your friend's house.
Was Grandma wearing pearls at the table?
No.
No.
No,
Grandma didn't have any pearls,
No,
right?
she didn't have any pearls. Grandma was wearing a house dress, you know, and an apron, but she was just as loving. We didn't have a beautiful bedroom like that or bathroom or any of that kind of stuff. We didn't. Other people did, obviously. But this was something you wanted to aspire to. This was the life that you wanted. This was the good life, man.
So are they pretending to take a bath right here? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. He's wetting down the towels and the rags here to look like they actually took a bath because they don't want to hop in the bath right now.
You see, this show, one of the wonderful things about the show that's funny, if you grew up during this period, even if you didn't, is we're seeing all the stereotypes of that period.
Yeah.
Little boys and older boys weren't supposed to want to take baths or be clean. You know, you didn't.
You're gonna get messy and dirty.
Yeah, you know, you wanted to have a nice older brother. You know, like Wally.
Wally was a great older brother.
He was great.
He was the best.
You know, when you're watching this show, guys, at home, there's a very, very funny thing with Leave It to Beaver. This is about seeing the world through Beaver's eyes as a kid.
Yep.
You know, you're seeing what society said at that time, what you should aspire to if you're a little boy, if you're a little girl, husband and wife. And then you have Ward and June are the adults trying to raise these kids in a more modern manner than they were raised.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got an interpreter there. And you know who the interpreter of Beaver's world and the adult world is?
Who's that?
The guy in the middle is Wally.
Yeah.
Wally tells Beaver what the parents really mean, what they're doing. And he often tells the parents what Beaver means. He's caught in the middle.
That's a good point, though.
Oh, yeah. And then Ward and June are telling them all the things they need to do to be members of society in a productive way.
Oh, Fedor's about to get busted here, folks. He did not give that note, and Miss Canfield is catching him.
Isn't this the note I asked you to give to your parents last night?
Miss Canfield kind of looks mean. She's not like Miss Landers.
She looks like she's new.
Yeah.
New, but she's got a sweet side, but she doesn't know whether she should be sweet and they're going to take advantage of her or she needs to be stern. She's learning.
Miss Landers was my favorite teacher that they had. She was great.
By the way, that's a theme with Leave It to Beaver for the whole thing. Everybody's always learning. In all these episodes, Beaver's learning something, Wally's learning something, and Ward and June always learn something. And you can find, no matter who you are, whether you're a kid or a grown-up or an older brother or a younger sister, you can find something to learn in an episode. They're teaching you about values. They're teaching you how to problem solve. They're teaching you how to be decent.
God, Jerry Mathers was a cute kid. I got to say it again.
Yeah.
Look how his hair is different there from the first day of school to the second day here.
Yes.
Of course, I know how busy she is, but do try and bring an answer back from her tomorrow.
Yes, Miss Canfield.
There's Mrs. Rayburn.
Mrs. Rayburn.
Not the little Beaver boy? Having problem with the note, Mrs. Rayburn. He forgot to give it to his parents.
Well, they have such important things on their minds at that age.
Well, I know he's upset. Seems they brought his father home from the hospital last night.
Oh, boy. Old Beaver lied.
He lied.
Oh,
yes.
buddy. Ward's going to find this one out, man.
Yes.
Ward's going to find this one out and then some.
Look at the difference. You're being shown here that the principal and the teacher have your best interests at heart, and they know all the students by name.
Here answers your question, though. Miss Canfield is not new because she knows Wally.
Oh, okay. Here's the psychology stuff, the stages, the developmental stages.
The principal explaining it to the younger teacher.
Yes.
Ah, so all the note is about is playing Smokey the Bear in the play.
Right. Here's Ward.
Ward's checking the mail and the bills. Ooh, June's giving him some love here. She's happy to see him. What did you buy?
Mm-hmm.
The new seat covers on the car.
Does Ward ever wear the same suit? I don't ever remember. It always looks like he wears a new suit every episode. Multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Ward doesn't lie.
No, he doesn't. He exaggerates, though, as you get in some episodes. because he gets Beaver in trouble with the exaggerations that he did.
Hope to see you back on your feet soon, Cornelia Rayburn.
When did she see you off your feet?
Uh-oh.
I was Mrs. Rayburn, the grammar school principal.
Well, why did she send you flowers?
How should I know? Maybe it's Arbor Day.
What is Arbor Day?
That has to do with trees.
Okay.
That was a big day in the school. That was a big holiday. It was a big thing.
Arbor Day.
Yeah, you'd celebrate that. They make a big thing out of the importance of trees and stuff like that, living things.
Why don't you ever send me flowers?
I'm the kind that says it the seat covers.
Ward's always got good one-liners. I'll stick with the seat covers.
Well, they're showing you how to be practical as parents. They don't get into, they're romantic and love each other dearly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't go anywhere.
Look at the typewriter, too.
Yes, that's how I did all my college typing on typewriter, just like
Boy,
that.
those things
Even
were
in
a pain in
graduate
the butt.
school. Yes.
I was lucky from the computer generation
Oh,
there.
no, not for us.
Boy, you're in a mess.
Here's the whole thing with these guys: always getting in a mess or out of a mess.
Always.
Who's gonna send for Mom?
They're always in. It's usually Beaver, of course, in the show, hence the thing. But
No.
Wally gets in some pickles, too.
Because he helps them out, and
Yep.
their expectation is if they do the wrong thing when they get caught, they're going to get yelled at or they're going to get punished. But Ward is not going to wallop them or anything else like that.
Larry Mondello's dad always
He-
hits him.
Yes, hitting was okay in those days.
It's from your teacher, so it has to be something bad.
You hear Larry Mondello later on a lot
Yes.
talking about his dad hitting him,
I'm writing an answer.
and his sister laughing and watching. Wally usually only got in trouble because of Beaver. He was always trying to
Yeah.
trying to cover for him. Occasionally, though.
Yeah, he would do silly things sometimes.
She calls me Theodore.
They explain later on, I think, why they call him Beaver, right?
That's a good question. With all the, I have no idea. There's got to be a reason. We should find that out.
I believe they say it in one of the later episodes, and if somebody is out there
Mhm.
watching it with us, if you know the reason why they call him Beaver, chime in on the comments there, put it in. We'd be happy to hear that, because I know they explain it later on at some
Yes.
point.
She calls me Theodore.
Look how they change their clothes too. Like
Yes.
when they come home, they wear their play clothes
Oh,
or whatever.
absolutely.
I have whipped him. His father has whipped him. We are very sorry. Your friend, Mrs. Ward Beaver, Theodore's mother. I know the household must be upset with the fire and Mr. Cleaver in the hospital, but why would they punish the little boy simply because I want him to play Smokey the Bear? Miss Canfield, this is your first term with the second grade. There's something you should know about little boys and notes. Yes, Miss Rayburn.
See, she is teaching her something new.
Asked me to clear the situation is to have Mrs. Cleaver come in tomorrow for a little talk. I'll call her this evening.
She's gonna call her herself.
Now-
She's writing
now-
her little
now-
black book.
Yeah, now think of this. Think of this. This is amazing. This is the teacher knows who Mrs. Cleaver is, and she's going to call her that night
Yep.
and tell Mrs. Cleaver to come in. Picture how different the world is. Now, this was idealized,
Sure.
but people were very respectful in most cases towards their teachers, the principal, things like that.
It's not like today.
Oh my God. If for the people at home, and it's not to say that 1950 is better than 2023, it's just different. And it has wonderful things in it, like today has wonderful things in it. But watch Leave It to Beaver for a couple of episodes. And here's June as the typical 1950s housewife. I have to use that term. And then watch Roseanne from the 80s.
Yep. Much different.
It's like going to another world.
Wally's got the big lunchbox, by the way.
Right.
And then Beeve's got the smaller one too. Notice that?
And let me ask you a question. Do they know where their kids are? Do they know where their kids are going?
Oh yeah.
Are there any latchkey kids?
Nope.
No.
June is getting ready for business there to go on out there because Beaver can see something's about to happen here.
Yeah, she's going down to school. She's all made up because she's seeing the school principal. She wants to put on a good face.
She's got to look perfect.
You see, this is the way that respectable families used to envision things with things you aspired to. Your children represented you, and you represented your children.
I'm sorry, misunderstood about the note, and I'm going to speak to Wally about his part in it too.
Poor Wally. Wally's going to get in trouble here too.
Wally's a great older brother.
Oh, he's the best.
He's always trying to help Beaver out. He never tries to stick him.
He's the best.
He also tells everything very truthfully.
He does.
You know,
he tells it from his eyes, like, you know, and from the way that he sees it.
You'll often see when his mother and father are a certain way towards him, he'll not only apologize, but also inadvertently show them their error of the ways.
Look at these travel tickets here. Beaver's trying to get a ticket out to Mexico for $12. That it says on there, $12.82 to get to Mexico.
Chicago, $11.
So there's this debate in the Leave It to Beaver group. See, people talk all the time because nobody really knows. Where is Mayfield? I think Mayfield was in California, and you could see by the prices right there to different places. Mexico being close to California would be the cheaper ticket, whereas you saw New York on there was $58, and it was to get on this plane ticket or whatever it was.
Yeah, it could be. That's a good guess.
But other people have thought that Mayfield was in New York too. So who knows? They're all out looking for him. Beaver's out somewhere.
Those, by the way, I had a pair of sneakers just like that. Those look like U.S. Keds or PF Flyers.
The Converse ones that he's got on?
Now, this is a classic scene. This is Beaver's, this guy.
Gus.
Gus. But Gus is played by a very famous character actor called Burt Mustin.
Okay.
And if you watch any old picture, he was probably about 150, 250 episodes of TV. Mm-hmm. Used to be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson all the time. Hysterical character actor.
Beaver loves Gus.
Yes.
Gus plays a role for a few seasons on here, I think. Yes. Probably till about the end of the third season. Dude, Beaver is on the run. The local businessman here even knows the Beaver. Everybody in town knows who each other's kids are.
Right, and you can see a working guy wears the overalls and has a toothpick.
And his stereotypes. Did you see his name too? Fat
Flanagan.
Yeah, Fats Flanagan.
Junk. He's a junk man.
Yep.
Yeah, they were here. They're looking all over for you. What have you been up to?
No, Sandy, will you, Gus?
Of course not.
I ran away because I got stopped from school.
Gus dressed just like Grandpa did too.
Yes. Gus is like, I was just going to say, like a grandfather.
Yep.
Say, Beaver, that father of yours, you sure he's the one that run the whole Navy during the war?
I don't know where else he'd be, Jeff.
What a great town Mayfield is, right?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, have you fellas seen a little boy?
We just been playing. We ain't seen anybody, mister.
Well, he's about 8 years old. He's my brother.
Your brother, huh? What's he look like?
You know, he looks like a kid.
He looks like a kid.
He's wearing jeans and a blue sweater.
Does he have a baseball cap on, lady?
Well, yes.
Would that be him up there?
And he's just randomly hiding in the tree up there.
There you go.
What in the world are you doing out there?
Sitting in a tree, Dad.
Well, come down.
Boy, don't frighten me like Paul.
Oh, Beaver.
Ward changes his tone there. Listen to June.
Beaver, please come down out of that tree.
I can't, he'll hit me.
He'll hit me.
That's right.
Beaver, come on down here. What's the trouble?
There's a boy up there in that tree.
Oh, I thought it was a cat.
You see how people used to mind their business? This is stuff that, you know, their own deal.
You squealed on me. I had to. You know how it is.
Theodore Cleaver, I demand you come down out of that tree.
Now the whole town is coming out to watch him.
They're going to watch this thing.
You just better. Why, Beaver, you know we never hit you.
What about the time I spilled the ink on the rug?
He called him out.
I don't think he's coming down.
Come down, all right. Beaver? on down out of that tree, or I'm coming up there after you.
I'm gonna stay here until I die. And then you'll be sorry.
All right.
Well, all right, Beaver. If you want to stay up there, I guess your father and Wally and I'll just have to go home and have supper.
You gonna leave me here alone?
Well, that's what you want.
This is very sweet because it shows you all the different perspectives from the father, the people in the community, the little boy, his brother. There's a lot to unpack here.
I better come home and get my raincoat. And then come back up here.
No, there definitely is here, and you see how they kind of tag team him up on the right way.
Right.
Ward's getting a little hot and angry right now, and then June's kind of the mediator. It's like, let's pull the supper route on him, you know, that we're all going to go home.
Right.
I gave the Beaver a hot bath. It's a little worse for wear.
Of course.
Yeah, everything was always cured with a warm bath.
Yeah, warm bath. You're not feeling good, warm bath. You had a bad day at school, hop in a warm bath.
Sure. I would have when I was a kid. If you said you were going to, you did.
Ward,
Uh-huh.
oh, the note, and the Beaver being scared and running away. You think Miss Canfield will understand all that?
She might. I think there's a pretty good chance she was a kid once herself.
No matter how mad Ward gets, he's always got that smile on his face at the
And
end.
that's a beautiful scene of a husband and wife.
Yep.
And a shared thing you hear all about, you know.
Theodore, you can catch up with the rest of the class tomorrow.
And here's the understanding
Yep.
of the teacher. Teacher.
She learned a lesson, and so did he.
You know now what was in that note I wrote to your mother and father, don't you?
Yeah. He wanted me to play Smokey the Bear.
He learned a lesson.
Yep.
Why did you assume that what I wrote in the note was something bad?
I don't know.
Well, you must have had a reason.
Well,
Well, what?
I guess it's because you're a teacher.
The adults always got to have an ulterior motive.
The teachers were held like they were from another world.
Yep.
With Mrs. Landers, she comes over for dinner in another show, and
Yeah.
she's wearing open-toed shoes.
And the kids thought it was
And then
crazy. They were
said,
blown
"Look,"
away.
They said, "Look at her toes."
Let's see if we can catch her smoking, too. I just watched that one the other
Yes,
night, actually.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
You know, this is.
All right, so I take this back about Miss Canfield, all right? From what I
Mhm.
said earlier in the episode. She really grew on me from the beginning of this episode here. And you can see the sweet and endearing side of her where she made a mistake as a young teacher, so to speak, as Mrs. Rayburn kind of taught her.
Everybody's making mistakes in here.
They all are. Yeah, you're
And
right.
That's the whole point of Leave It to Beaver. It's such a series of mistakes. You find out what people do that works and what doesn't work and gets them into trouble and doesn't help them. And then when they're understanding towards one another, each person admits their own mistakes that they've made prior and they forgive you, and everybody learns from it. That's the formula.
Well, the teacher and the student learn here to end the episode today, which was a good thing here.
That's right.
They both learned a lesson. Ward didn't have to strap the beaver. So Ward and June learned an important lesson in that too.
Yeah, there's going to be a closing thing here after this commercial here, but a little fact that I didn't know for people here, and I hope I'm not throwing out too much information here. I hope it's interesting. And this is a wonderful doing this. I love this. I hope you guys love it too. Beaver praises Ward all the time, and he says he's a war hero in this. I had no idea. Hugh Beaumont, but we'll let you see this at the end here, and I'll tell you something about Hugh Beaumont here. Look at this. Wouldn't you love to be a kid going to school this way?
Yep.
Mom being there gives you. This is security.
And they both jumped down the stairs.
This is how you become a healthy, sane person in a perfect world, man.
What's this?
It's my shrunken head.
He's got a shrunken head.
Yeah, my brother had one. I had one of those.
Why are you taking it to school?
I thought Miss Canfield might like it.
He's going to give his shrunken head to the teacher.
I think she might too.
Now, June, see how accepting she is of him. She doesn't say, "What the hell is the matter with you?" She wouldn't like a shrunken head. She lets him find out. And there's that happy, good music. Yes.
So you were saying about Hugh Beaumont here. Why don't we hit the pause button
Yes,
on
I'm going to
that
hit
in just
the
a second there.
pause button here.
because that'll be next episode. Next episode will be Captain Jack, season 1,
Yes.
episode 2. That we'll move on to that next week.
Yes. And let me hit the pause button here. And Hugh Beaumont, surprisingly, when you see this tone in this thing here, not only is it really, Leave It to Beaver was tried to be written from all the popular psychologists at the time, like Albert Bandura for observational learning. We learned from other people. John Watson for appropriate behaviors and stuff. Carl Rogers with unconditional positive regard. Not to throw names, but these are things you want to look up. This was big in television at the time.
Okay.
And in our society in the 50s, a change from the rough and tumble 40s here. But Hugh Beaumont, he was a lay minister. He was a lay Methodist minister. I know his entire career.
I can see it, though.
And he started directing a lot of the Leave It to Beavers, I think, in the second season. Most of the third, and maybe on forward from there. But Hugh Beaumont was also, get this, folks, he was a man who practiced what he preached. He was in the military in World War II, but he was a conscientious objector.
Interesting.
Yeah. He was a lay minister and he was a medic. So so think of it. He served his country, but he also lived his beliefs.
Interesting.
You know, medics didn't get out of combat. They just didn't fire a gun where they could kill anybody.
Hugh Beaumont was a great character. Unfortunately, passed away, I think it was in 1982.
Something like that, 82 or 92.
I know they did the reboot of the show.
I didn't
And he
care
was
for
not
that.
in it. Yeah.
No, I did not care for it.
And I don't think we're going to be checking that one out. So
No.
we're doing some nostalgia here. So what did you think of episode 1 as we wrap this up for today?
You know, I hadn't seen episode 1 in a long, long time. And I think it sets the tone. And you're going to see by the time we go to episode 3 or 4, which is Beaver Gets a Haircut, which has to be one of my favorite episodes of any TV show with a kid in it. I literally almost wet my pants when I see that. It's so friggin'
We just watched it last week.
Yeah, I watched it last week. I think this is a great first episode. There's a narration. You see how the parents act, and you're going to see the same kinds of behaviors from Ward and June and Wally and all the kooky neighbors and people in the community. You're going to see something that isn't real, but something you can aspire to, and you can achieve pieces of that in real life. I can remember having conversations with people like that, with my father, or my brother acting loving to me, or my sister doing something, particularly with my teachers in school. Well, I was in school at a golden age, and I had wonderful, loving, kind teachers.
Well, we got a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks. And then once again, next week is going to be episode 2, Captain Jack. It's where the boys send off for an alligator from Florida. And I do not remember this one. I don't know. Do you?
I had one, and my brother brought it home, and my brother also brought home a turtle. Thing in it. He gave it to my mother. We had that turtle for about 4 years. My mother used to feed it chopped meat.
Chopped meat for a turtle.
And a little can of dried insects.
Man, I'm telling you. Well, folks, this is going to wrap up episode 1, though. We got a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks. Drop your comments. Follow the show here on Facebook. Like we said earlier, the audio for the podcast will be coming out soon, too. So check out the Leave It to Beaver podcast on all the major outlets. And for today, I am the Beaver. This is Ward. I am John. This is Stan. We're going to sign off for today. And hey, guess what the good news is?
We got 268 more.
There we go. So we'll see you all next week for episode 2, Captain Jack. Hope you enjoyed it. Yes. Tell a friend, spread the word, and we'll be back next week right here on the Leave It to Beaver podcast.
So long.